Is Zara Siddique. Are you in the building?
Yeah, I'm here.
Ah, okay, great. Okay. So gives me great pleasure to introduce Zara Siddique. It's always interesting how these connections happen in life, because I'm actually connected to Zara's co-founder, Jimmy Sandham, and he's actually in the lineup. He is the author of the book Impeccable. Jimmy,
yes,
I
was there trying to remember the title as well.
He would have killed me. Okay. So check out the book. I mean, there might be something happening around this book later this afternoon. So to introduce Zara Siddique, so from doing graphic design, so first of all, welcome, Zara, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Okay, so from doing graphic design for Cardiff Uni, boxing club, to CEO of her own streetwear art brand. We learn about the people and the design process of Rhetorik's unique geometric bold monochrome design iterations of wolf, feather, and stag. And you can see here I'm wearing the wolf. And in fact, when I saw the wolf, my first reaction was, can I have it tattooed? I checked with Jimmy. Are there any license implications for me to have it tattooed? And maybe a bit of, we might also learn a bit about artificial intelligence, rave parties, and glitter. So we're making no distinction between work and play. It is all the same. So, and I think I haven't actually read your bio, but it's fine. Check out Zara's bio. We have it online. So Zara, tell us about Rhetorik, and where are you today with Rhetorik? And actually, no, let me actually ask you one question first, and then I'll take the floor. Let me hijack it a bit. There's always been a confusion on my behalf, is in terms of looking Rhetorik. I consider it as streetwear art. Would you consider it as art?
I think we consider ourselves more of a streetwear fashion brand, but I guess, yeah. In fact, when you first asked me to speak here, I was thinking, oh, an art festival, like, is that really for us? And yeah, it actually made me reconsider how I think of the brand and the work we do and the designs we create. So yeah, I think I'm coming around to the idea of it being art more.
How can this not be art?
It's a good point, yeah. So I'm wearing our original logo. It's the first design that I'll stand up for you. The first design we ever did back in 2016. We started working on that, and we released it early 2017. Yeah.
And it came out of Cardiff University.
Yeah. So I've always done graphic design. I started off actually doing photography at school, sort of doing like photography qualifications at school. I started to learn to use the software, and then just sort of in every job I had, there seemed to be a lack of graphic designers, and the opportunist I am, went, oh, I can do a bit of design, and so my skills, I never really had any formal training in graphic design. My skills just developed slowly over about 10 years of just wherever I can and for whoever I can saying, I'll design that for you. So I ended up doing the boxing club's graphic design. So I was a member and Jimmy was one of the coaches. And he sort of went, oh, you're pretty good at this. I've been thinking of starting a fashion company. Why don't you come over, and Lizzie's done some illustrations. We'll talk about it. And that's pretty much how the company was born, just sort of sitting in Jimmy's living room saying, oh, well, I could probably do these designs for you, and let's see how it goes and where it takes us. Yeah.
So why did these illustrations how did they end up on fashion brands? And so was it already considered that it was going to be a fashion brand, or was there also consideration at, you know, putting it on posters? I'm thinking of, you know, the wolf, the stag, the feather.
Yeah, so it was always going to be a fashion brand, and part of our motivation for it was that we wanted to create something that looked cool and looked like something we would want to wear down the street or to a party, and was still ethical, and we didn't have to compromise on our values, and that it was still sustainable. And so we were really just looking for a way almost for ourselves to be able to create good, like nice designs that we wanted to wear, that were also sustainable, because a lot of the, especially, you know, 5-6 years ago, a lot of the designs you saw, or if you searched for like ethical clothing, it was kind of like very plain linen-y clothes. It was often just plain t-shirts. Certainly in the last 5 years, the kind of sustainable clothing market has boomed, and there's a huge range now of designs. But I think we were definitely one of the first companies, at least in Wales, in Cardiff, and in the UK, to come out with these kinds of designs on sustainable clothing.
So the emphasis was sustainability and supply chain, right? Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it was about not having to compromise on our values, and yeah, so the thought was to always have it as clothing. Since then, we've kind of branched off into various different clothing ranges. We've also moved into eco glitter, which I'll come back to in a minute. But some of them have worked out, some of them haven't worked out. It's all been about kind of trying and seeing what we can do. So we, for example, had a range for a while where we collected abandoned tents from festivals and we turned them into raincoats. But unfortunately, it was so time intensive to create one raincoat from an abandoned tent that we just had to, it wasn't sustainable as a business. And so
I like the idea.
Yeah, it's a really cool
but
idea.
it's always going from an idea to make it commercially viable, and
yeah, and that's, I think, one of the big lessons we've learned along the way, that something that we want to happen might not necessarily happen. We have to think both with our creative brains and our business brains, because we wouldn't be able to keep doing it if we didn't make any money. We also had denim jackets for a while, which were kind of embroidered by a member of our team, Tony. And that also was like very time intensive. It was kind of taking 2 hours to create a jacket that we then sold, and we thought we could never do this at a large scale, but we do really enjoy doing those kind of smaller projects.
I remember the rave party. That was huge, right? I mean, that must be quite frustrating now with the pandemic, because you know what I've seen with Rhetorik is that you have following, like you've created a tribe around the brand, and you know, and you're taking it into rave parties, or like,
it was funny. That was the parties initially were actually Jimmy's idea, and he said to me that it takes 8 hours of exposure to a brand to create brand loyalty. And so he said, if we can get them to look at Rhetorik logos while they're having a great time for 8 hours,
that's Jimmy.
Then they're ours. Yeah. And I went, that's great, let's do it. And so we found like venues throughout Cardiff.
There's an underground movement also in Cardiff, right?
Yeah, huge. There's a huge like underground music scene, and it's a very small town, so everyone kind of knows each other as well. So it wasn't difficult for us to find venues that would let us run events very cheaply. And so our first event was free, and we just agreed that the bar could take any money, and that was kind of, we were like, we'll bring 200 people in if you give us the space. So yeah, there were some great things that happened as well. spent a lot of time making decorations, which was great. We knew a lot of um, EDM and drum and bass DJs in the area, so we kind of got to share all our fun with our friends, which was really great as well. And it definitely played a huge role in kind of creating this tribe and this kind of core base that are just going to support us with what we do. And it's also just been a huge motivation for us to keep the company going, because we all have full-time jobs or full-time other roles. So I'm studying at the moment. And so, yeah, it's been, at times we've had people kind of come into the company and drop out of the company, but me, Jimmy, and our illustrator Lizzie have all stuck with it through the 5 years.
That sounds like a rock band.
Yeah.
Some musicians come and go, but the core stays.
Yeah, it's Rhetorik's 5th birthday this month, so yeah, it's really great that I'm doing this. It feels like a way to celebrate, to talk about the kind of 5 years of Rhetoric. Yeah, so what was I saying?
Well,
yeah,
one of the themes within the festival obviously is, how do we cope under the pandemic? Because the festival was initially conceived before the pandemic, because Spoleto in Italy, the small towns become a ghost town between January and March. Italians go into hibernation, and then we wake up again in Pasqua, in Easter. So we thought, oh, we'll do the festival to support. Now with the pandemic, the festival is also, how can we cope during the pandemic? How can we support each other? And so you mentioned the rave party. I mean, the pandemic must have put a stop to that, right?
Yeah, so it's hit us in a lot of different ways, some positive, some negative. So obviously, yeah, we can't have kind of events to build up momentum with the brand. Things like we used to just have like huge posters and like stickers all around Cardiff, and we used to run pop-up shops, and there were some planned pop-up shops just very local to me that we had to cancel, which was quite a hit, I think, especially to morale, that we couldn't do any of these things that made the business fun for us. There just aren't that many people in Cardiff. I'm from London, so for me it's very small. I'm sure for some people Cardiff is a huge city, but yeah. So I think yeah, definitely there's a lot of support. There's a lot of kind of big warehouse style things where people come and everybody gets a little space. Some people display art, some people have like fashion brands. There's also that intersection.
So would you consider that pop-up shop as well? That's a pop-up, even if it's okay.
Yeah, so we there's kind of a huge range of things that you get at they'll just have a huge warehouse, and you'll have all these independent brands. Some will be artists, people who make food locally as well. Like it's a great opportunity to kind of meet other local creatives and to build on your network and that community, and to have people that are kind of more loyal to your brand because they've seen you in person, and that's a huge thing that we're missing out on. That people, we're just these people trying to push t-shirts online now. We're not so much kind of real humans who have a story behind their brand, and that's a really hard thing to keep going within the pandemic. Yeah.
However, here's the distinction. If you position the illustrations as art, that's a distinction, because we see a lot of stuff printed on t-shirts, and I'm not sure whether all of that is art. I'm not sure, but certainly and I think we can check with the smart community. We can follow through and see whether they would perceive streetwear as art or not. That might help you for us to maybe also help you to promote it as art. It might give you a distinction, but it might also not take the brand where you want to take it. So I'm just some possibilities.
Yeah, no, I think it is art, and it is because it's part of our because it's also a business. It makes it we have to prioritize in various ways. So you know, we'd love to make all our designs better and to spend a lot of time on a lot more designs. We have a lot of plans for other ones, but at the same time, we are doing other things. I've got a 1-year-old now, which is making things very difficult. And actually, going back to the pandemic, it would have been a great time to kind of, because more people had moved online to shop, to kind of take customers away from these huge fast fashion shops and to kind of convert them to online customers for sustainable goods. But I also then was left at home with a 1-year-old 24/7. So it was like, oh, I really could be using this time to promote my brand. And so I think it's all hit us in really unexpected ways. Yeah.
Well, I would say, having worked with Jimmy for so many years, make it his problem and he will come up with a solution.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I'm conscious of time yet again, Zara. So unless is there's anything you would like to add, or the audience, if they have any questions?
Yeah, I'm happy to take any questions.
Yeah. Melissa Chartan, how does this relate to you in terms of you being an artisan? Because I think that I see some similarities in terms of the challenges you have and the challenges in terms of Rhetorik and Planted.
Yeah, so much of what you said was just perfectly articulated things that I've felt as well. Definitely the COVID struggles of not making that in-person connection with people, which is more enjoyable for us and better for brand loyalty. No, just very impressed with how you seem to articulate it all well and have a really big picture. And like you said, we have to make money to carry on doing what we like, so it's like a juggle of all the different priorities, isn't it, to keep it all going?
Yeah, it is. It's a big balancing act of kind of keeping each element of the business, because if it's not doing well as a business, then you can't have fun and create your art. And if so you need to keep both of those propped up at the same time. Yeah.
Zara, sorry, Melissa.
I was just going to ask how you find working with, it sounds like you work mostly with a couple of other people, but maybe you didn't know them so well when you decided to go ahead as a business, is that right?
Yeah, I really didn't know them that well at all, but I think we definitely kind of had a connection at the start where we all had a similar kind of energy and enthusiasm towards the business. And there are definitely times where I was like, oh, Jimmy gives me too many weird feedbacks on my designs and little moments of frustration. But I've been very lucky in that overall we've actually worked incredibly well together for someone I just kind of randomly met and decided to start a business with. So I've been very lucky in that sense.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. It's a really good learning opportunity to work so intimately, I guess you could say, with other people and learning to overcome ways in which you inevitably disagree on things. That's good.
Zara, you are selling exclusively online right now.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. So
how is it going?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't know if you mentioned it already because I was out a little bit for some minutes.
No, I haven't spoken about it yet, but it's very much a product of what we put into the business. So the more work we put in on social media, on marketing, the more sales we get. It's as simple as that. It's very much just, if I put in 5 or 6 hours into Rhetorik per week, then we get a steady flow of sales. If for some reason I have a month where I'm very busy with other things, we start to drop until we're kind of getting none towards the end of the month. So it's
so you are becoming a corporation, right? You are spending time doing things that you don't like, or you don't have the
Yeah, it's been a real like realization of just, oh well, businesses is just hard work equals money.
I know. I have a lot of feedback about people. They started websites in the beginning of the pandemic, like online shops, a lot of kind of stores. Not only creative people, also cities. They start their own marketplaces or whatever. I think there's a pandemic of marketplaces all over the internet right now. It's like every city has a fucking marketplace right now. It's like, and people don't want to buy these things. They don't want to buy olive oil in the marketplace online. They don't want to buy wine in the marketplace online. Of course, some people will do it. But I believe the real artists, they have another challenge. I want to ask you directly. If you put everything online, the chances, it's not your case, but imagine another kind of artist that's really clashing with society. Probably their products will be censored because online is too much more easier to be censored. How do you feel? How do you think this is going to limit creative process?
Yeah, it's a great question. Yeah, I think yeah, I mean, I guess there's also, there can be a level of sort of censorship offline as well. And I think often you find you're having to kind of play the game of online marketing and fit to what an algorithm is telling you to do, which I very much hate, and I'm sure many other people do. But I think, yeah, it's like a sad fact that I'm having to accept. But I also, the revolutionist part of me is like, we're going to do everything differently and we're still going to be a success. So I guess I've got to try both sides, try doing things dramatically differently, and hope that people also believe in that and see what I'm trying to do.
Because we are watching now T-shirts from I don't know, Happy Mondays, The Clash, or Joy Division, or something, getting a warning from Facebook. Warning is delicate material here, sensible content, and this can be complicated in the future, I believe.
Yeah, it's a hugely complex issue, and I think Facebook is definitely now owning Instagram is a huge problem for small businesses in some ways, because once you lose those channels, then you've basically lost your business sometimes. It's tough to sort of have to play by their rules in some ways, and I think that we all as a community have to find other ways around these kind of huge corporations that now control our shopping and our feeds and what we see on our screens every day, and look at alternative ways to unite as a community. And this is a great example of that we're all coming together and we're all talking about what we do, and we've found each other in a way that's separate to maybe scrolling through Facebook and potentially not seeing something because it's been censored. I think it's really a challenge of us as a community as a whole to solve.
So this is where your artificial intelligence can make a difference.
Yeah. So actually, I'm looking to, I should be starting a PhD in AI ethics this September. So I'll be looking at kind of the biases of things like applications that sort CVs or image recognition software.
Great use case. And,
So and looking at how to reduce bias in those systems. I think it's definitely a big challenge, and if you invite me back next year, I'll be able to tell you a bit more about it.
The big challenge is that we didn't solve the ethics in the real world, and we are trying to make it easier in the artificial world. It's really amazing.
So Zara, we have actually, I just read, is Max here? Max Bloomberg, because Max will deliver the closing remarks reflecting on the festival, and he is an expert he's a PhD sort of talent psychologist, but he's actually, I've worked with Max many years in artificial intelligence, and he's taken it into people analytics. And he might come up with a few use cases, which could be, interesting in terms of what we've discussed now. How do you take away the bias? And I also know that Vitor is very close to following the ethics of artificial intelligence, because I've been with Vitor in various couple of also conferences, key conferences, forum in Nice, where of course artificial intelligence is a big topic. So this is why I also picked up, I was sort of intrigued in your bio. I was trying to make the connection. How do you go from graphic design to building a brand to artificial intelligence? But now I get it.
All connected.
Yeah, it's like a secret weapon.
It's like a Gavin. It started with the music, and then the design, and then he's the director and writer.
Yeah.
It's a process. It's a process.
Yeah, it's about just being like a digital creative for me. Like I just love spending time on my laptop, and so if I can find things that let me create beautiful stuff or create beautiful websites or clothes, and I can do that digitally, that's my passion, really.
Okay, I hate to kill the magic yet again.
You're becoming good at this. I think you're going to host the next Smart Travel, because you are becoming an expert in the.
No, I'm going to delegate
in the timeline.
Vitor, I already said for the second edition,
much better than me.
Timekeeping is going to be delegated to someone. we will outsource it. We will outsource it. Yeah. Okay, Zara. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.